welcome back. We got the Leftovers chat. This is Ethan. I have watched the show a bunch of times. I'm here with Benji, who hasn't watched it except with me. Hi, Benji. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good.
Okay, it's going good over here too. The world is happening, but we're going to try to talk about the Leftovers. Last time we spoke, we had just broken down my favorite episode of television ever, International Assassin. But yep, last time we saw Kevin Garvey. He rose from the dead, and we talked about that for a long time. So let's move on. We're at the Leftovers, season 2, episode 9, 10/13. Once again, there's no cold open, and we just go to credits. Now, Benji, earlier in the season, you were kind of asking for what was going on with Tommy and Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
Have we seen, before I get started, have we seen Meg all season? Like once?
Yeah, we've definitely seen her once, at the least. Really, that might have been it. It's not been a prominent part of the storyline so far.
I don't even remember when we saw her. Oh, she got Tommy.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Hard to forget that one.
Oh, right. That's right. I remember now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start now. No cold open credits. We open with the famous and spectacular white lines by Grandmaster Flash and Mel Mel and the sound of Meg and Abbott snorting cocaine in a restaurant bathroom. We are then privy to a tense conversation between mother and daughter who obviously have a lot of baggage. Megan's mother sends back her salad for not having walnuts, and Megan writes her a check for some shoes, but dates it for October 14th, as today is October 13th, but 13th is an unlucky number. Megan's mother wants to tell her something important, but Megan has to go to the bathroom since it's literally been 4 minutes and she needs to do more cocaine. She comes out of the bathroom to find her mother has died of a heart attack on the restaurant floor. Now, I was thinking this would have been the time for the opening credits, but I guess they didn't want to do that. The opening credits are a somewhat happy affair, and this is not.
I don't know. I felt like it was worth taking a moment just to talk about the fairly big revelation that Megan was had a bit of a problem with cocaine.
Or, as the English say, cocaine.
Cocaine?
Yeah. Didn't you see the Rocket Man movie?
No,
cocaine.
No. But, I mean, Meg being on drugs is, I don't know, it's one of them. It's like a surprise, but also not a surprise. She kind of has that vibe to her where it just didn't, for some reason, it didn't surprise me. What was interesting was that, obviously, cocaine, from what I know of it, obviously not speaking from experience, it's pretty addictive, right?
Yeah, and I have no shame in saying I've had a past with things, and yeah, it's very addictive.
Well, it's kind of interesting that we established here that before the 14th, she had this kind of addictive personality, which does mean she is kind of she is primed to become a member of the GR, who themselves have a pretty, you could say they have pretty addictive personalities. They smoke quite a lot, and they do actions that are very, very consistent, repetitive, habitual. So it does line up in that respect.
Yeah, and I actually have more to say about her cocaine use after the next section.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. And it's also worth pointing out that her mother points out that Meg isn't being very ladylike at one point in this. When she says, "Oh, I need to go pee," and her mother says, "Oh, ladies don't say that." It's another kind of character aspect that's been set up here that we've definitely seen on occasion. Meg is prone to behaviour that is not the most ladylike, which is always a shock to watch, right? Especially after knowing her from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, she definitely does some stuff that is not ladylike at all.
Well, I think we need to be careful about like categorizing, like, what does that mean, ladylike? Not what it means in terms of what do people in general think of ladylike, but what does it mean when you have a parent that you're talking to them and you think you can talk to them like they're a regular person, and then they tell you you're not being ladylike. Ladies don't say pee. And I think that's kind of a bigger point, is the kind of relationship they have. The kind of relationship where, and Megan gets into some of her past later on when she's talking to Tommy. The kind of relationship where there's this passive aggressive back and forth about money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to make you pay me for the shoes. You don't have to pay me for the shoes. Don't pay me for the shoes. Do you know what I mean? So I think it speaks more to the broken mother-daughter relationship than it does really to, you know, anybody's behavior about being ladylike or not, you know?
Yeah. Well, let me try this one. Let me try this one on to you then, last one. When she says that Meg is the most relentless person she's ever known and that when she has a cause, there's no stopping her. I feel like there was more to that one, right, than just being a kind of relationship type thing. That was more about Meg as a character and linking into her sort of obsession and drive within the GR.
I mean, sure. I mean, and we see the monster that's created here, right? Right. So jumping forward 2 years after the departure, we see Megan and her fiancé arriving at the fairly recently formed Miracle National Park. And you see that same younger looking guard. Megan is full of excitement and takes the audio tour. We see the sights and get to see what happens on the tour. Megan makes an unscheduled stop at Isaac's house because she has heard he's the real deal. At Isaac's house, Megan gets a warning from Isaac that people who have been disappointed in the past with finding out what their loved ones have thought in the moments before death, and he tells her no matter what he says, she's going to be disappointed because it will not fix what is broken inside of her. Megan wants to know what her mother was going to say before she went to the bathroom. Once Isaac tells her about the walnuts, she begs to know. Then we cut to Megan storming out of the house, heartbroken, and exclaiming he wasn't the real deal. So Isaac says very specifically, it will not fix what's broken inside of her. So if we break down for a second, Megan, since the day we see her at the restaurant, it's October 13th. Her mother dies. On October 14th, 2% of the world's population disappears, so her grief is hijacked. And before all this happened, she obviously had a very staggering drug problem. And there was something emotionally broken with her mother and within herself, much like my man in the first season with hiding the Christine doppelganger. Do you know what I mean? I think in the show, when they show drug use in the show, which I don't think is too terribly much, it is from people that are extremely broken. And that was my thing to say about the drug use there. But did you have anything on her meeting with Isaac? An incredible coincidence that she happens to be in this miracle place 2 years or whatever before we see it.
Yeah, and I was having a little trouble at first when she rolls into Miracle. I was trying to put a finger on when exactly this was. That kind of got a little bit easier the longer it went on. I think the guard said they'd only been open for a bit. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was weird to see her being in there first. You know, Isaac's still by his house. Thank goodness. I didn't notice when they were coming in on the bus, you know, the song that was being sung, Wade in the Water.
Yeah.
Did you have anything on that? Like, did you do any research on that? Or
I mean, I haven't done research. It's so when the things are like punching me in the face, you know, Wade in the Water, the water, of course, for the season, and basic stuff like that. But I hadn't done a deep dive. Did you?
Well, I don't know if I'd say deep. I didn't want to go too deep. I felt like we kind of cashed in our deep episode last time, so I didn't want to take this one too far. But I had a
deep dive. Get it? Deep dive.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I had a quick look, and from what I could gather, the verses of the song are. I mean, there's multiple meanings, but the verses reflect the Israelites' escape out of Egypt, and then the chorus is referring to something from the book of John, chapter 5, verse 4, where it says, "For an angel went down at certain seasons into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had." I don't know, it's kind of a long way of saying what the chorus says anyway, which is you're basically healed by the water. I don't know if the chorus does say that, but that's kind of the vibe of the song, is that the water is good for you and the water heals you, which, as you rightly point out, is kind of a big theme this season.
Is that the song they like? Is that like the Miracle theme song when they bring people in? Is that what they're singing when they like originally arrive?
I don't know.
Okay.
But one of the lyrics that I caught was, "See that man all dressed in white," and for me, like, what's the first thing that you think of when you hear someone dressed in white in the Leftovers context?
Oh yeah, The Remnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be more of that.
Yeah. I did notice the guy on the tower. He was present even back then, so he must be. He's been up there for a while.
Yeah, Turk Pumpkin.
Mm. Oh, and I did catch something else that was cool. I think it was about 7 minutes in when they're taking the audio tour.
Yeah.
And they explain how there's that crack in the earth, and it's not from the earthquake; it's from a like sewer explosion that blew out all the manholes. That reminded me of season 1, the Garveys at their best, when Kevin sat by the side of the road and the manhole cover goes like and explodes up into the sky.
Yeah, there's always lots of little things here. And of course they've had earthquakes there before, and we know from this point they're going to have earthquakes in the future.
Yeah,
like the one that happened at the end of the last episode.
Yeah. I was just kind of extrapolating that explanation of the manhole covers exploding here, like, probably what happened back there. So that solves at least that one mystery, perhaps.
And were they still doing this golf cart thing at the beginning?
Like in this section?
Well, in this section they are. But
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Seems pretty freewheeling, just to let anyone go around the town they want, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It did strike me as weird, speaking of that when we come in season 2, we see John kind of really cracking down and imposing his kind of law on people like Isaac.
Right.
But given that this is like a fair time back in this episode, like how long has it been going on before John decided to do that? Like at what point was it like a gradual scale, or did he just one day start like burning people's houses down?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because, he's doing it, and obviously Isaac has been doing the thing for a while, and people say he's the real deal, but why is, when we see it then, is John decided to crack down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. When they're taking this tour, there's the lady in the wedding dress, and we've seen her a bit, but it was really the first time I put this together when I saw her and Meg in the same scene. She's kind of like the inverse of the remnant for this town. Like she wears white as a reminder that they were saved, rather than as a reminder that the world ended.
And Megan's got so much going on because her boyfriend says, oh, another one of these guys, like how many has she been to? And this is the fiance, which she broke it off in the first season, but then she sees a lady in a wedding dress.
Sure.
Everything boiling.
Yeah, the whole Isaac scene is great. I didn't actually have too much on that specifically. Okay. Apart from it just being it's a pretty good scene.
And I guess we get to the point of the whole thing, and the coincidental nature of this episode, which I have a little bit of a problem with. But on the park bench in Miracle, a young Evie offers Megan a baby carrot because you can't cry while you're eating a baby carrot. It's impossible. Megan tells Evie the knock-knock joke from episode 1, right? About the...
Yeah.
And they introduce themselves, and Evie apologizes for Megan for not being able to get what she wanted in Miracle. Megan spits on the ground before she gets on the bus to leave Miracle.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was referring to earlier when I said she has moments where she doesn't behave quite like you might expect of a lady. But I mean, we've known that for a while. Megan, even in season 1, she had a few moments where we're like, dude, that's not cool.
Oh, Benji, you got to change your definition of the word lady. It's 2020, buddy.
They
can scratch their balls too.
Well, I'm using lady in the sense of
Proper.
what Megan's mother
Right.
intended by it,
I understand.
following that thread.
Yes, but yeah, Megan's mother would not be happy to see her spit on the ground.
Well, lady or not, whatever the definition of that is, I don't think anybody should be spitting on the ground.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. But no, I think, the bit you're saying about Evie showing up being a kind of weird, forced coincidence. Looking back, I think that moment was one of the reasons I was kind of able to guess where this episode was heading, and the big kind of reveal at the end was because they set up this, they sort of opened the loop here, and I was like, okay, they're going to have to come back and close this, and there's only really one way they're going to be able to do that, but we can get to that.
Okay. But I want to go on just because the scene cuts from her on the bus leaving, obviously with some hatred in her heart. And it cuts to a scene where you're seeing this other bus, and it's a GR is stopping a school bus full of children. And the GR bros, they're back, kick out the driver, and Megan pulls the pin out of a grenade just like in Guest from season 1 on the street with a grenade and locks the children in. She walks away and creepily smiles. Children scream, and the bus does not explode. But it was tense there for a minute, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess this is where I'm going to stop kind of referring to Meg as either being a lady or not a lady, avoid all that controversy, and just say, at this point we're dealing with, is she an asshole or is she not? And she kind of is, for doing this.
There's no kind of about it, I mean,
she definitely is.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to this in the next part. But should I go, or do you got something?
Yeah, go on.
Megan goes to a GR muckety-muck meeting where she is dressed down by the leadership for talking and threatening children. Quote, "We thought we had an understanding after the incident with the dogs," they say. "It is clear that Megan is on some other level. Why do I have to just stand there when I can put my cigarette out in their fucking eye? That's a reminder," right? She said that. And they want to be sure she isn't planning any of her own action on the 14th. I don't know if I noticed this the first time. Then we get a quick cut to an Airstream trailer on the Jordan Bridge, just for a second. They also accuse her of trying to buy plastic explosives. She placates them, and they remind her that Tommy is out there stealing GR members by hugging their pain away. So it is weird. From the first season, we think that the GR is started by Patty 11 in a house. And I still think it kind of was started there. But now it's turned into this almost corporation thing, and they have rules. They don't threaten children because that brings authorities. That's why they don't let children in their house, because that brings authorities. And they have certain protocols, and Megan's like, yes, we're making our signs. So, it's almost like different sides of a fundamentalist group, almost. The extreme and the more moderate. And she is not moderate.
Yeah, and it's interesting that she seems, even though she is so extreme, she's not gone down the route of, I'm extreme GR, so I never talk. She's kind of gone the opposite way, and she kind of breaks silence a lot in this episode, and just in general she does. But I feel like that's not her being less extreme. That's her almost being more extreme. It's kind of this identity she has. It's like she's on a different level to them, and like she's so confident in her identity as like a GR and her kind of purpose that she doesn't care really about when she does talk and when she doesn't talk. I don't know if you had any other thoughts on that, 'cause it's kind of a big deal that she talks so much, right?
She just talks. Like there's no in between for her. And and I do have more to say on, mention it now, when she gets down to her ranch in Texas, I think that she has this certain leg of a GR that's her own, and she is talking. And she even tries, like, she would actually prefer it if everyone from her GR would talk. She thinks that's a stupid rule.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it makes sense. Well, it almost makes sense, relatively speaking, if you put yourself in that kind of mindset, because their job being to remind people, clearly Meg thinks she can remind people without being quiet all the time, which seems like a valid opinion. And it also feels like a kind of power play, like she's not playing by their rules. She sets her own rules.
And we saw that at the end of season 1. She had been turned, right?
Mm-hmm.
She writes down on the pad, we made them remember.
Mm-hmm.
She's all on board, and it's kind of gone nuclear at this point. It might get explosive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about the dog incident personally.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I wrote that in italics. Whatever happened? What was the incident with the dogs?
Maybe they were going to show it, but like, I mean, we've seen enough bad stuff happen to dogs on this show already. We didn't need that. You had Kevin and Meg team up.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to go on, okay?
Yeah.
So now she has to take care of Tommy. Megan shows up to a meeting of Tommy's after he hugs everyone. Megan comes up and while hugging him, says she can do this for real. Laurie and Tommy have a big argument about what they're doing. Now, instead of writing all this down, I only have 2 audio clips. This is one of them.
Did you forget about Paramus? I had 30 people there waiting to see you. I tried to call you. You didn't pick up. I had to give their donations back.
Donations?
What?
You mean their money? You had to give their money back.
Well, we're going to need money if we're ever going to get the permanent space.
We don't need a permanent space.
Yes, we do, Tommy. It's been a month and renting out these halls is very expensive.
I don't want their money, and I don't want to build a fucking church.
When they pay us, that is their commitment to change, okay? If it were free, it wouldn't work. We're helping people.
We? I'm the one up here lying.
You're not lying.
We stole it, Mom. You said that if we took Wayne's story and used it, people would believe in us the way they believed in him.
Well, they're getting better. Isn't that what matters? It works.
It doesn't work on me.
Did something happen?
Yeah. Something happened. Your book didn't work out, so you figured you would pimp out your own fucking son so that you wouldn't have to run people over anymore. So that you didn't have to feel bad about leaving your whole fucking family.
Within the space of like a minute and 20 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get so many of your personal questions answered, right?
Yeah.
But what happened here?
Yeah, and I was kind of vicariously cheering Tommy on there.
I mean, yeah, totally. Because, I mean, so I was saying I think Laurie has one good point here, and the point is people, if they're not paying for something, they don't think it's going to work. That's just inherently built in, you know, the way the world is run.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I think that's her only good point.
Yeah.
Everything he says is right on the money. He's being pimped out, and so she can feel better because she feels like crap now that her book didn't work out, that she's been running people over, which is violent, almost like Meg in a weird way. Yeah, and she didn't want to hear all that truth.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of cuts right to the heart of what I've been saying, which is that there's just this disconnect, and it's like, it's somehow, it's just unbelievable that she's the one that's apparently on the moral high ground. So, but she's been so, like, her book didn't work out, so she's using her son to scam people, so she doesn't have to hit them with cars because she feels bad about abandoning her family. And she's the one on the moral high ground telling people that, you know, trying to prescribe what they're meant to be doing with their life, and they need to fix this, they need to do this, they've been misled here, you should be doing this, I'm the one who knows, I'm the one. It's just not, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's just say Laurie is frustrating for you, for sometimes the audience too, trust me. But that's, you know, she's a great actress and she does a great job at it. And, you know, when people hate characters, it's because the actor does such a good job, AKA Joffrey, whoever you want to put in there. It's because they're so good at what they do.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
So right after that, we get a shot. Did you have anything else on?
No, not so much. I feel like I've already spoken about Laurie a lot. I don't want to bang that drum too much. But yeah, it's definitely been the one part of season 2 that hasn't been like the rest of season 2. I've really loved this one's this whole storyline of Laurie has been a little bit confusing for me.
Okay, well, we're going to do a character review now and at the end of the next episode, and I think we'll be able to flesh some stuff out there.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Yeah.
Yep. So after that, we get a shot of Tommy drinking on the street. Not really sure how long he's been on the street, and he's observing someone abandoning a dog. And then we get a shot. He goes drunkenly to a GR compound to find Megan. Tommy tells Megan he wants his pain taken away. He wants to join the GR, and she says he just wants a family. After some square peg and round hole conversation, I'll explain that to you in a minute, and maniacal laughing, we find out that Miracle is where Meg is heading, and they decide to drive there together. Okay. I think this is a good time to talk about so far where this episode comes in the season. Okay? So you were talking
Sorry,
about...
could you just repeat that? I lost you.
Okay. I think this is a good time to talk about where this episode comes in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is a needed episode. And like most of these really good TV shows, it's better than most TV in their best episodes. But I don't think this is the best episodes of The Leftovers by far, especially this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because that, and full disclosure, I've never written a TV show. I've never written a good TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's very, I said square peg in a round hole because it's very kind of pushed in there. Like, he very conveniently says Miracle. She very conveniently says, oh, but that's in Jordan, and Miracle is the park that's around it. And she almost, if you see her, she almost puts her hands up and looks up to God to say, like, there is something up there that's pushing this together. I mean, if I were to say there were two, even though it has great moments and the moments are coming up, if there's 2 episodes of this season, I would say it's 3 and 9, and they're the ones that deal mostly with the GR.
Yeah. And 3 being off-ramp.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Although this one I did prefer to 3, but I think that's because, I mean, the odds are always stacked against it. It was like, I knew coming out of episode 8 that we'd had this storyline sort of set up in off-ramp, and we were going to need to do more work on it before the season ended, if I'm assuming all the elements have got to somehow come together in the finale in some shape or form. So, you know, sooner or later we got to catch up with what's happening with Tommy and Laurie and Meg and the GR. And I was, even though I was disappointed because last episode we'd had Kevin crawl out of the ground, and I was like, let's go, more Kevin. I would rather this take place here than obviously in the finale. It's like, this is the only place it could happen. So,
and you're kind of expecting it. You were kind of expecting it after a most powerful adversary. Yeah,
that felt like where it was gonna. It just felt like such a good, not a good, but like from the perspective of somebody running the TV show or the producers, it feels like that is the place where this kind of thing usually happens, when there's this big moment and you need to know what happens, but you got to wait, and they put the filler episode there, or they put this catch-up episode there, and I mean, I can't think of examples, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
The Walking Dead.
There you go.
Yeah, but we also, and this I'll say about it, we'll move on, but, you know, you come off this hot streak of literally the hottest streak in television, which is, in my mind, which is No Room at the Inn, Lens, A Most Powerful Adversary, and International Assassin. There's 4 episodes of television I give like 9.8 out of 10 to, right? So while this might be a 9.2, comparatively, I think it's just down a little bit, and that's because we have to get certain things and characters in place for for what's to come.
Yeah, it just has to be done.
And this conversation is indicative of that. This, oh, Miracle, I know Miracle, I'm going to Miracle right now.
I have said this before, I think, but part of me wonders, like, obviously I have no idea what will happen in season 3, and certain elements of what will happen in season 2 I assume are necessary for whatever happens in season 3. But part of me wonders what would have happened if they, because really all we've had is like, we've had off-ramp, we've had a couple appearances by Laurie, maybe like a phone call or two to let us know she's still there, and then we've had this episode. What would have happened if it was just the entire season was devoted to Kevin and Nora and Miracle? And I know that's a bit of a fallacy because the events of Miracle are linked with the GR and with Meg and Tommy, and we'll see why kind of right at the end of this episode. But even so, I don't know, it does make you wonder, like, they were doing so well without it that it's like, there's just no need, you know? Right.
No, I understand. So White Lines is playing again as they drive to Texas. Meg's cricket ringtone calls, and she talks about seeing the bridge and some plans. She tells Tommy that her plans in Texas are pretty amazing, but he just wants to know why she forced him to have sex. They stop at the bar and have some drinks. They talk some background for the sake of filling out Meg's character and how she didn't have a father and her mother was cremated and shot into space for a measly $12K. They kiss, they dance. She says she wanted to get him pregnant. That's why she effed him. They leave the bar. The less we spend on this section, the better I'm going to feel.
Yes. I mean, is there a reason for that, or is it just the less said the better?
I got more stuff to say, that more interesting things happen in this episode. I'm going to tell you right now, we never ever get an answer why she said I want to get him pregnant. That's why she effed him.
Well, yeah. I was thinking more along like the idea of planting an idea in his mind. Like he's eventually come back to her and he's joining the GR, and she was the one who kind of planted that in him, got him pregnant with the idea. I'm stretching, but it's the most I could.
Hey, you're not stretching. It's one of those things that I've heard other shows spend a lot of time on. And I know that nothing happens from it, and I would just rather get to the things in here that I love, which are still to come.
Okay.
But if you have something else to say about it, please.
No, not really. Apart from the fact that she's, as far as I can see, she's wearing normal clothes, she's talking, she's really engaging in a lot of non-GR behavior, kind of this like maverick streak.
Oh yeah, she become like a leader that she doesn't have to do what other people say. Do as I say, not as I do. The only other thing I can mention is, I guess I've heard this before, the song that's what they're dancing to actually shows up in Watchmen. And I don't know what the song is.
The Promise?
Yeah. That song shows up in Watchmen too, in a very similar type scene in a bar, which is kind of weird. But I guess the song is really... And if you had given me money, I would have told you that the country western version of the Departure theme was in this scene, but it wasn't. It was in Okay, so next we see them arrive at the GR compound Meg has set up in Texas. No one is wearing a white, and they're allowed to talk, though some don't. They have caught someone who saw something on the property, and the merciless Meg decides he needs to be stoned. Now Megan lets Tommy know that she was just a ride for him to Texas. Either stay or help stone this guy or leave us alone. The next thing I got to talk about...
Did I get this right? Because I just had to bring this up because it was so weird. Are they using like an abandoned skating rink?
It looks like a barn area, like not like a barn, but like an armory or maybe like an old chicken factory.
Because where they're holding that guy in the room, there's like a load of roller skate boots kind of stacked up on the shelf, and it says like skate rink on the door.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I don't know.
It totally could be that.
I don't know how that thing works in Texas.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know for sure it's not an ice rink.
Yeah. All right, so the next part gets a little long in the tooth on Ethan's personal experience, which I take the opportunity to do from time to time. Meg drives to Miracle Encampment, and we listen to Magic. Okay, so here's my deal. So I've watched this show, and I've been mesmerized the first time watching it through every single time. And we're watching this and I'm thinking, well, this episode's okay. I know what it's doing, but it's not having this effect on me. And then I hear the song Magic, which is by Olivia Newton-John, who's from Australia. That's just a side thing. I hadn't heard this song at this point in 20 years. And it was a staple of my childhood. It was very big on the radio when I was like 8 or 9. And like, I remember sitting in my mother's car or my stepmother's car, and it would be on the radio. And I had heard it so many times when I was younger, but nothing for 20 years. And I'd always liked it. And then I heard it here. And it just weirdly, it opened up this whole like brain goo ball of memories that came flooding out. And somehow elevated this episode for me with this song. And the fact that she was driving, listening to it on the radio.
Music does that.
And then
it has been.
And then she opens the door to get out, and then it's full on, you know, it's just playing. And, you know, it's an amazing Leftovers moment. It's one of my favorites.
There's a lot, especially this episode, I think. There's been a lot of songs.
This season's great for
That's
songs,
it. That's a statement. Yeah.
So, keeping that in mind as she's walking around looking at these things, you know, we notice as Magic is playing, she's like this leader that has come into her undercover camp, right? And she's checking out all her soldiers, and we can see all these people that are obviously GR now. They're not in white, but they're sitting there. They're not saying anything.
I actually totally did not see that. Maybe I was too caught up in the magic of the song.
Yeah.
And it was kind of dark, the scene. I'll rewatch it.
Were you familiar with that song before?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, but it's a good song. It's from a movie called Xanadu, and it was written by most of the members of the Electric Light Orchestra, which is like Jeff Lynne and all them. And the movie was kind of a flop. It was really weird. Yeah, look around. She's looking around. There's definitely members of the GR there just sitting there just blankly staring into nothing, being, you know, like the GR they are. So, but the song is cut off immediately by the sound of Matt Jameson, right? And Matt and Meg talk about how she left the GR, and Matt updates her on the situation. Then it turns as to why they are both here. Now I have my second and last audio clip.
I can't get over it.
What?
Well, seeing you here in Texas, it's pretty amazing, don't you think?
Not really. I mean, if we were just anywhere, it would be a coincidence, but we're here in Miracle. I think we both came here for the same reason.
What reason's that?
Because this place is safe.
Now that you've left the remnant.
Exactly. It was really hard to get away, you know, because they're everywhere. I started to think to myself, there must be somewhere that the guilty remnant wouldn't work, you know?
Wouldn't work?
Right, because in order to get someone to join them, that person needs to be in pain. And the people on the other side of that bridge, Matt, they were spared. They're just not suffering like the rest of us are.
You know, Megan, I don't think you're being entirely honest with me.
You think I'd lie to a priest?
Today's the anniversary, isn't it?
Of the departure? No, I believe that's tomorrow.
Not the departure. Your mother's death. You do remember attacking me in Mapleton? I was outside your house handing out flyers with your mother's photo on them. I know it was cruel. I'm sorry for digging into your life like that, but I was doing everything I could to make you feel again.
I'd forgotten that.
Well, then I apologize for being your living reminder.
Then Megan asks Matt if they want to get over the bridge. What are they waiting for? And she says, "You're waiting for me." I mean, how badass is Matt Jameson?
Pretty badass, man. Like, this scene is up there. It's up there.
It really is, because then he's like, I don't think you're being completely truthful with me.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "I forgot," which he obviously didn't. It was just out of her mind a little bit. And then he's like, "I'm sorry for being your living reminder."
Yeah, yeah. When he said
like,
that. Yeah.
Totally.
It's so good.
You got anything to say about this conversation? I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It did set up for me kind of a little intention of, like, I think I have an idea of what Meg is planning to do.
Well, we're going to get into that after my last part.
Right. With her kind of commenting that they're just not suffering like the rest of us are. And her comments about, like, there must be somewhere they wouldn't work. And she wants to kind of scale up the GR operation. And we've seen that little snippet of a freeze frame when she was talking to the GR guys earlier with the trailer thing on the bridge. And obviously she's here. And well, we'll talk about it in a sec, but she's definitely planning something to...
She has a little class in over passive aggressive speaking there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not in pain like the rest of us, are they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt is holds his own in this conversation, which is a kind of a achievement against someone like Meg. She's pretty good at...
And he even pointed out all the history they have, the fact that he knows today's the 13th, and he knows what happened on the 13th, and he knows the extra anger she has.
Yeah, and I feel like he does manage to catch her off guard. Definitely unsettles her. Does this mean... I'm assuming the season finale is going to be on the 14th then. Is this like a pattern that I can come to expect for the third season as well? Because the first season finale was the 14th as well.
Yeah, that was the third... What? Was it the third anniversary? I think, and this will be...
Yeah.
This isn't too long after. This is probably the next year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Real quick, that night Tommy sneaks into the secret locked barn and finds the Airstream trailer. He opens it to find Evie and her friends safe and sound. He asks, "Who are you?" Evie writes on her pad, "It doesn't matter." White lines plays again. It's the end of the episode. So, just me personally, I was so just enjoying everything at the time and so wrapped up in like the splendor of what I was watching that, you know, I got smacked in the side of the face when I saw Evie. Like I just wasn't expecting it. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting to see Evie right there. And when I was like, oh my God, this man has managed to do it more episodes in a row. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So you said you guessed this while you were watching?
Yeah, although, you know, I don't want to take too much kind of credit. It was literally sort of like minutes before, like, really it was a combination. It was when Meg sees Evie in her first visit to Miracle. I'm not saying I guessed it then, but it was kind of interesting to me that they had set up this connection between Meg and Evie and reminded us, kind of like, just in case you were forgetting, here's Evie. Remember, she's missing. So I was like, maybe that's important. And then when Meg has this conversation with Matt, that's when it starts to be, because she, from what I can gather when I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, so, you know, putting the bullets together, she's, Miracle hasn't suffered enough, and like they didn't have any departures, so they don't understand the GR can't operate there because they didn't have any departures. And then I'm thinking, hang on, when she's saying people, oh, Miracle just haven't suffered enough, I'm obviously thinking about all these episodes we've seen where you've had like these town hall meetings, you've had You've had like Erica and John and their whole family, and you've had search parties, and it's really sort of been tearing this town. Well, I wouldn't say tearing it apart, but it's been a pretty big deal, and it has been causing some suffering. So I'm like, okay, so here's Meg saying she wants to cause suffering for this town, and the only kind of incident that's ever, as far as I know, caused them any real suffering has been the girls disappearing. So I have a feeling at this point that it's got to be linked somehow. It's like, I don't know exactly how, but then, you know, it's something's going on here. And then when Tom goes and he's starting to open this thing, I'm like, it's got to be. Like, who else realistically, who or what else could it be inside that trailer that would give us the same level of like, oh yeah, like you said, he did it. Like, just who else is it going to be? There's nobody else that would be in there that would deliver that same reaction. So sort of by process of elimination, it's like, it's got to be the girls, you know?
Yeah, man. So that being said, I want to do two little wrap-up things. I want to ask you what you think her plan is going to be in the last episode, which is a little bit longer than the other episodes. I think it's like an hour 20. What do you think? Any predictions? Theories?
Well, we saw it on the bridge.
Yeah, this is the first time I slowed down enough to actually see that they showed that.
Mm.
So is that something in her mind, or is that something that you think is actually going to happen?
I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Or at least I did when I saw it. So we know Evie and the girls are in here. We know it's on the bridge. We know she wants explosives. We all have a pretty good idea of what happens when you combine bridges and explosives. But I feel like blowing up a bridge is not that it's not enough, but it just doesn't feel like there's got to be more to it than that. And obviously it's going to involve the girls. Whether they're still going to be in this trailer thing when it happens, I don't know.
Okay.
It's either, at the moment, my mind is either going down the route of maybe they're going to be some kind of like sacrificial thing, and it's going to be this like they're back and then they're gone again, or maybe they're going to be back but they won't go back to their families, and I don't know. It all seems kind of not like little bits and pieces, but I don't think it's adding up to quite the scale that I'm expecting. So I don't know.
Okay, so you think that they're setting up for you're expecting a lot, but you don't think you don't seem to think that it's going to be as big as what you're expecting.
No. Sort of the other way around.
Okay.
Is I'm expecting, how do I say this? I'm expecting a lot to happen, but I can only visualize a lesser amount happening from what I know so far. And I don't know, it depends. Like, if you'd asked me before International Assassin to like predict what's going to happen there, then if it was like along those kind, if it was a similar thing here, then, you know, I've got no idea, but I've got a feeling this one will be a little bit more consistent to stuff that's been established earlier in the season.
Okay. Well, I got one more thing I want to do. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm deleting some things here so I can do it easier. Let's do a character, a quick where we're at before we're going into the season finale with the characters. A quick review, okay? Mm-hmm. And maybe this will help with things, and it's a fun thing to do. It's almost like power rankings, but we're not power ranking. We're just setting the stage, right?
Matt wins.
So,
Matt wins.
Matt wins
for this conversation.
Right. Power rankings. Matt wins. I got you. All right, Kevin Garvey. Where's he at? Where are we at with Kevin? What's he doing right now? He's been raised from the dead, right?
Yeah, sorry, I lost you for a sec. Was that it? You just said he's being raised from the dead.
Yeah, so we'll start with Kevin, and we're just doing a rundown of where the characters are now. So Kevin Garvey has been raised from the dead, and he's with Michael.
Yeah, and he's also possibly in hot water with John at this point.
And he's got his palm print to go on, right?
Yeah.
All right, so next we have Laurie Garvey. She's at the house with Jill, hanging out.
Yeah, conveniently enough, everyone's managed to make their way to Miracle in their own ways. I forgot about that. Yeah, Laurie's at the house.
Matt Jameson, he is outside in the encampment, getting visits from Nora and Mary occasionally. Liv Tyler is Meg, and she's in Miracle. Okay. Tommy Garvey is also in Miracle, kind of hanging out with the GR. Jill Garvey is at home with her mother. They're just kind of waiting for Kevin to come home, right?
It's got to be an awkward...
It has to be an awkward hang. Nora Durst is still not back yet. She's taking care of Mary and a baby at Matt's place. Okay. Mary is with Nora. Erica, where's Erica? Last time we saw her, it's been a while, right? We haven't really seen her since she threw the rock through the door.
Since Lens.
Yeah. Which seems like forever ago now, but we haven't seen Erica in that long.
No. Yeah.
We saw John Murphy the last time we saw him. He was at the firehouse taking the palm prints. Michael Murphy is with Kevin at the grave. And Kevin Sr. may or may not be taking God's tongue in Australia.
And Virgil is he's still the concierge at the hotel, as far as we know.
He's drinking the water. So,
drinking it.
I mean, after doing that, it seemed like it was field exercise because everybody's in the only convergence I see are coming is Guilty Remnant and the bridge. Are they trying to blow it up?
Maybe. I'm kind of worried for Matt though now because he's probably the most in close proximity to that bridge right now. Yeah,
but he also may have had sex with his...
Are you saying he deserves to be there?
I don't know. But that's what, it's kind of what's going on with everybody. GR and has a plan for the bridge. Matt and John and Kevin have to meet at some point. I don't know. Something's going to go down. All I know is that the previews for the next episode, there are no previews of shots of things in this episode. There's only previews of shots of things from past episodes, and there's only one episode left. So I've seen it, so I'm not going to say any much. But I will say, again, to you, Benji, thank you. You make this possible. People tune in not to hear me, but to hear your reactions. I am sorry to our few users that are following the reaction videos. We did not have one for this episode. We are going to do one for the next episode, for episode 10 of season 2, the finale. It's called I Live Here Now. This has been great so far, man.
Excited for next episode. Subscribe.
subscribe, hit the bell, ding. Tell your friends.
I think this is what it was. I'm just sitting there thinking, man, I should have spent a little bit more time trying to figure out what's going to happen next episode. I have a feeling I was wildly off.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, hold on to it. You can tell us what you thought after you see what actually happens. I can't say anything about next episode because I've seen it and I know exactly what happens. And I'm, as usual, just excited to watch it with you this week and get your reaction. Maybe there'll be so many reactions I'll have to post 2 videos, part 1, part 2.
I have one thing that I think will definitely happen, and that's we'll have some epic Leftovers theme tune music come in at one point.
Oh, you think there's going to be some Leftovers music?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
That's the easy win.
Goodbye, Benji.
Great. See ya.
See ya. This has been fun.